So nice to see all of you again. Just like last time, um, I'm not going to do very much of this. I'm here and will support, but Craig Perel is going to do most of our presentation today on awareness, mind and body connection, and then he'll be able to answer your questions and give your homework assignment. So I'm going to let Craig introduce himself.
Awesome. Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? First off, okay. Sometimes I just start talking and then no one can hear me. So let's see here. All right. And you can see the screen, right? Awesome. Appreciate everybody being here today. I don't know how many more we're waiting for, but hopefully they get here. My name's Craig Pearl, and I am an MSW student here in the social work department. You probably knew that already. I'll talk a little bit about myself real quick. I actually come from a background in the music industry and worked about 20-ish years in the music industry before deciding to switch over to sort of the humanities field. COVID really helped me to make that choice, kind of pushed me over the edge, so to speak. So I went back to my bachelor's degree is in music and performance, and came back to school and got into this wonderful program here. My background as far as working in this field, I work currently at an elementary school in Ammon in Idaho, and I work with one-on-one with generally kids either on the autism spectrum or who have other needs that need some little extra help at the school, and work for an outside agency doing the same thing as well while I'm in school. Some of my interests and where I want to go is eventually either to work with law enforcement or to anything related to that in the jail or probation or anything like that's kind of where I'd like to go with it. So that's a little bit about me. Freddie, did you want to say something about yourself?
Well, I was able to do my introduction last time, and I think
Okay,
everyone was here, so I will not
awesome.
repeat that.
Okay, perfect. So just a few guidelines for this presentation. I ask you to please mute yourself unless you're talking. If you can turn your videos on, that's very helpful so I can see uh, your wonderful shining faces. If you would like to say something, please raise your hand. And I really hope that we can have some interaction in this because there's a lot of opportunities to sort of do some uh, interactive learning with each other. And I got to figure out, there we go. Okay. So let's talk a little about the journey we're going on today. There's a funny little meme over there if you want to read it while I'm talking, but we're going to talk a bit about just what is awareness. There are different aspects of awareness, such as emotional and physical. Um, we'll talk about we'll do a few breakout rooms and some practices uh, which relate to uh, the next thing, which is grounding techniques. You'll learn about what that means and how to apply those in your life. And then finally, at the end, we're going to do a little personal development planning. Feel free to, let's see, if someone asks a question, am I able to see that on here? I hope it pops up.
You should be able to see a hand raise if someone has a question.
Okay, awesome. So first, though, we're going to do a little icebreaker activity. Uh, might be a little cheesy, but really helps. It's going to help me to relax a little for sure, and hopefully let everyone get to know each other. So I'll start, and these are the two prompts. Again, my name is Craig. Some people call me Aaron, that's my middle name. And everyone gets real confused when they call me the other thing and then someone calls me the first thing. If I was lost on a deserted island, I would bring flint and steel. I'm an Eagle Scout, so if there's one thing I learned in Scouts, it's that fire is very important. Who would like to go next? I'm just going to start at the top of the list of my videos and go down. So Freddie, you're next.
I would bring a good historical novel, because if I'm going to sit around all day, I want to have something good to read.
Fair enough. Tyler?
I would bring, oh, my name's Tyler Cook. And I would probably bring like a hatchet or an axe or something because I don't know how to use flint and steel necessarily. So I think I would find more use out of a sharp object to cut things down. So, or to protect myself.
Thank you. See, Trenton's next.
Hey everybody, I'm Trenton. I'm kind of like you, Craig, where Trenton's my real name, but I kind of go by TJ. So I'll answer to either.
Okay.
I'm kind of leaning towards what Tyler said, but I don't know. Probably something to purify water, like one of those like backpacking water purifier pumps. You know, just presuming that there's no fresh water source out on that island. So
Thank you. And Angela is next.
I would bring my husband because he knows how to do all that stuff.
Go.
If you call him an object.
You know, that's up to you, I guess, your definition there. But that works. All right. Thank you, Angela. Carrie's next.
An infinite supply of dark chocolate.
All
Might as
right.
well be happy if I'm going to be on a deserted island.
Fair enough. And Lucy, if you're able to.
Yeah, I'm Lucy, and I would probably bring my phone because it has my music and a library, so I could use it for the limited time that I could.
Awesome. Thank you. Sometimes I feel like after all these presentations we see with the same question, like everybody in the world should be really well prepared to be lost on a deserted island. So, all right, but moving on. What is awareness? I'm looking for anybody's anybody's thoughts. What is awareness to you?
I think it's just being like mentally present, as well as just processing through your surroundings, your environment, what's going on. It's a pretty loaded question. I've never really described it out loud before. So
Yeah, that's great. Being that I like that decision too, and that definition. I also never really had to put it into words. It's kind of difficult. Anyone else have any other thoughts on that?
I would say it's kind of like mindfulness, but teaching your, being mindful of what's going on in your surroundings, so that which leads to awareness of what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, mindfulness definitely plays into it. And I assume I should have asked this in the beginning, but all of you work in a school. Is that correct? In some capacity? Okay, that's great because this is gonna apply to that specifically. Let's watch this quick little video here and then we'll discuss more.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
Why, I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
But how did you know?
Madam, as any horticulturist will tell you, one does not plant petunias until May is out. Take her away.
That's fine, madam.
It's just a matter of observation. The real question is, how observant were you?
Action.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
But I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
All right. I've watched that enough times now to where I could see the see the things happening beforehand. But the first time I saw that, it blew my mind, right? Was not looking for that, of course, and probably like some of you who haven't seen this yet. So awareness, like someone said, has to do with us paying attention. And then this phrase here, it's easy to miss something you're not looking for. We're gonna come back to that. I think that's kind of profound. As far as the dictionary definition, because you got to throw that in there. Awareness, according to Cambridge Dictionary, the knowledge that something exists or understanding of a situation or subject at the present time based on information or experience. Now, if you're like me, that's kind of a word salad, and it would take me like 5 minutes to totally dissect it. But I want to hear your thoughts on the video we just watched, and maybe what you were thinking as it was progressing. Let's hear from Carrie. I haven't heard from you yet.
Well, I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but I do think we have to filter out some information. If we kept everything in our heads all the time, we wouldn't be able to pay attention to what's important. So that's kind of my first takeaway. Secondly, I do think that awareness is something that can be more consciously applied to certain situations if it's appropriate. So if I were to watch it again and know that I needed to be more aware of the surroundings, maybe I would notice a lot more.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. You're totally right. It's impossible to be aware or to pay attention to everything at all times, for sure. So then the question arises: what do we pay attention to? You know, what are the things that we might not, that what are we putting our attention on that may be good or bad, right? I love that. Appreciate your participation there. I'd like to talk about we're moving into sort of a discussion about our emotions, because I think that a lot of times emotions are something that we don't give enough attention to. It's easy to let those sort of pass by in the pursuit of putting our attention on other things. But before we talk about that, just a few small practices that we're going to do. I'm going to show you the prompt. I'll give you a minute to complete the prompt, and then you can raise your hand or just give me a little signal when you're done, and then we'll talk about it. So the first one, look around the room for any 2 green objects. Okay, I think everybody's done looking around. So let's Carrie, what were the 2 green objects you saw?
A clipboard next to me and my pants.
All right. Green pants. I love it. Lucy?
I saw tennis balls and a green dish towel.
Trenton?
One of my school counseling books from grad school that's back over on the bookshelf has like a green like spine. And then my wife left me a sticky note that's lime green at I keep on my desk one, so that's what I saw.
Awesome. Angela? See. All right. I don't know if Angela's there. We'll come back to you, Angela. Freddie?
A green placemat, and I have Christmas lights around my window, so there's little green lights there.
Okay. And Tyler?
I saw a green pack of gum and then a green binder.
Okay. And then Angela, are you there? I see us muting and unmuting, so maybe there's an issue with audio, but that's all right. This would work a little differently if we were all in the same room. It would be interesting to see which things, people caught that were similar. But the next one we're going to do, close your eyes and listen for 3 different sounds. Once you've heard the 3, then you can open your eyes. All right. Let's just share one of them for each of us. So Angela, are you back? Oh, now you're muted. There we go.
Okay, that better?
Yes.
The furnace is sort of running.
Furnace.
I heard myself typing because my mic wasn't working. And there's some wrestlers that are practicing outside my door. So.
Okay. It's a busy environment you're in. Trenton?
So yeah, outside, it's storming down here in our part of the state. So, you've got that kind of slushy sound of the cars going by on the highway outside. But then as far as the sound that you were playing, it almost sounded like a restaurant. There was like a salt shaker kind of a thing, maybe some plates clashing, people talking.
I think that might have been Angela's mic on, but I wasn't playing that on purpose, but that's good. Tyler?
I heard my my son crying above me. And I accidentally kicked the desk. So I heard that too.
All right. Carrie?
I have my door open and it's lunchtime. My co-counselor is out today, so I'm multitasking so I can hear 650 chattering students at the moment.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Lucy?
Yeah, so I could hear my laptop fan, the air vent, and then the dogs huffing and walking around.
Great. One more here. Close your eyes again and notice any one physical sensation. And once you're done, you can go ahead and open your eyes. Yep, when you're done, just go ahead and open your eyes. Awesome. We're gonna move on from this one. Sometimes these can be a little bit personal, and that's all right. But we're going to move on now. I'd like to know, why is it important to pay attention to sights, sounds, or feelings?
I think it's important because they're cues that can tell us things about how we feel or things going on in our lives. I really personally think that they're cues for us to look at and listen to.
Okay, awesome. Anyone else have anything to share on that?
I would say everybody is going to hear, see different, sense different things. I'll have a student that'll come in and be really aggravated because another classmate was tapping their pen, and it drives them absolutely crazy. And why can't you stop that? And it just how people sense things differently.
Yeah, it's a great point, and possibly that feeling that student is experiencing might be something different than just annoyance, right? There might be something underlying that's without awareness to those feelings. We might not always catch that. It could be fear, or it could be, anger, or something else that's underlying that. So that's a great example. This kind of shifts into our topic discussion about emotional awareness. So in general, another just total nebulous word, but I'd like us to talk about what are emotions, or what are their purpose. Tyler, what do you think?
When you said that, I kind of thought of it's how our feelings or how our body reacts to situations, or I guess our mind, like the emotions that come up, like if certain cues or the environment around us, if they can trigger a happy emotion or sad, angry. So I think it's how our body or mind perceives what's going on around us, and that's like what comes to the surface, is that emotion or that feeling that we portray. I don't know if that made any sense.
Great, yeah. And kind of like you all been saying, those emotions can tell us other information, right? They're sort of signals of something else that might be going on. So the benefit, what would you say then? Let's see, who is on here? Carrie, what would you say the benefit of being aware of these emotions is?
Well, I'm not feeling super articulate today, but I think it is knowing how, when, and if we need to react to something.
Yeah. And we'll talk about kind of here in a bit, sort of the consequences of not reacting to them, what the implications that has. But that's totally true. It tells us when to react to something. Right now, we're going to do an activity that it's a bit of a sort of maybe a guided meditation, an activity to help show how to sort of access these emotions and to consciously think about them. If you prefer to at this point, you're welcome to turn your video off. Please keep your sound off. I'm going to do a bit of talking while we're doing this. Oh, did I skip over yours? I skipped over Freddie's slide, didn't I? I'm sorry, Freddie.
That's okay.
We're not doing that yet.
I was just gonna send you a chat. So
I'm too excited. I'm too excited. Let's turn that time over to Dr. Giesler before we do that.
Just a couple minutes. So I think just building on what Carrie said, we can be a little bit more. One of the benefits of our emotions is we can be a little bit more attuned to what's going on, and that can give us some information about maybe next steps. Being in touch with our emotions and what might potentially be going on with others can can help us maybe prevent some problems. We can be more thoughtful and more intentional in our interactions with others. They can help us to communicate, helping people to feel validated. I think sometimes we don't give enough credence to the importance of our emotions, and they do influence our behavior in so many different ways. So being able to really attune to that can help us to communicate and maybe take care of some miscommunication. We talked about motivation to action and some real basic emotions around fear can really give us some good information about taking some protective action. Being aware of our emotions can help us to cope and put things into perspective. There's such a huge range of emotions, and I think it's often difficult, especially for if you're dealing with children, helping them to understand what their emotions are and what they mean and how to process those. So just helping in our dealing with our everyday interactions with others and experiences that we're having some conscious awareness of that. And really just, it's part of being human. We can attribute a lot of emotions to other animals and other objects and other beings, but it really is an indication of our humanity and something that we really need to attend to, probably more intentionally than we often do. I think the other nice thing about recognizing the importance of and benefits of our emotions is that we validate each other. We validate our humanity and the importance of who we are as individuals by recognizing that. I think sometimes that's a main challenge for children, is to feel validated. Okay, now you can do your exercise.
So yeah, and I just excuse me, wanted to oh, Trenton, go ahead.
Do you feel that it's a linear process of emotional awareness? And maybe I'm just not recalling something I would have learned in like developmental classes back in college or whatnot, but like do you have to understand your own emotional awareness first as far as development's concerned before you can start understanding empathy, appreciating those nuances? I'm trying to recall, what is there kind of linear research or tendencies there?
I think it's really helpful to be aware of your own emotions. I think that really improves your attention to that. But I think it's possible to develop and grow and process at the same time that you're recognizing the emotions of others. I don't think it's absolutely imperative that you kind of have it down for yourself first, but I think that can be really helpful.
Thank you.
We're always
Yeah, thanks for
we're always learning and growing, and we don't always know everything at that moment. We often have aha moments, maybe when we're in the midst of dealing with others and their challenges.
And I think specific challenges that you personally have faced can definitely inform you on specific topics that could help someone even on a deeper level than you otherwise could. Great. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. Well, let's move on now to the activity. Great. So find a comfortable seated position, either sitting, you may move if you want to sit on the floor or on a cushion, or
think we might have lost Craig for a moment.
You're up, Freddie.
I guess so. And I don't have all of the notes, but we're gonna do I think a body scan activity, and Craig's got all the notes on this one, so it's a guided meditation. They'll come back. There we go.
I apologize. This is a great timing for that to happen.
Yes.
Awesome. We were so relaxed and ready to go. Just messed it all up. Okay. I hope this will not happen again. I apologize. So we're sitting here all comfy. As you sit, notice where your body is making contact. Your feet touching the floor, perhaps to the back of your chair, your arms on your lap or down to your side. Just notice where your body is making contact. Notice your breath. For the next 5 or so breaths, follow each inhale and exhale, feeling or imagining the breath flowing into and out of the body. Now, shift your awareness from your breath to your body and begin to scan through the body slowly from head to toe, observing any feelings or emotions that are present. You might detect numerous feelings or emotions in your body. For the purpose of this exercise, choose one feeling or emotion to focus on. Notice where in your body this emotion is located. What part of the body is holding this feeling? How big or small is the feeling? Where are its edges? Are the edges sharp or soft? Does the feeling have a color? And if so, is the color changing or remaining the same? Is the feeling heavy or light? Is the feeling moving or still? Is the feeling hard or soft? Rough or smooth? If you could touch this feeling with your hand, what would its texture be like? Now, if you were to give a name to this feeling or emotion, what would it be? Can you identify it or give it a label? If a name for this feeling does not come to mind, that's okay. Be kind to yourself and continue to observe the feeling in the body with curiosity and without judgment. Continue to get to know this emotion for another minute. When you feel that you have reached a level of understanding, you can open your eyes and bring your attention back to the room you're in. All right, I see everybody back. Thank you. I'm so glad my Zoom did not crash again. Who can share their experience?
I'll share. My emotion right now, I think, since I started this year, has been kind of sad. After 2 months ago, I went to the Idaho School Counselor Association conference and really came back feeling sad for myself as a school counselor and us across the state. After House Bill 163 and just feeling not, and I think we have new administration, and I feel like everything that I've learned and what this whole webinar and continuing webinars are about is, I feel like it's not the priority in my school anymore. And it was always a priority for me. And now it's about numbers and academic progress and not about kids and where they're at. And it's saddening. It's really sad. So I guess my emotions are raw and sad and edgy, and I don't really know my place anymore because I believe that you have to look at the kid before you look at the grade behind the kid. And I think that's gone, or it's slipping through that glass, that hourglass. And I don't know if I want to be a part of that anymore. So it's just I come into my room, and where it used to feel joy, I feel sadness.
Thank you for sharing that. I know that was very personal, but I really appreciate that. And sort of my rhetorical question to you would be, what is that sadness telling you? And you kind of possibly hinted at it, about what you can do or what it means for you specifically, something to think about, because that's definitely a deep emotion for sure. Who else can share an experience about what we just did?
I kind of oddly enough felt harmony between like two different feelings. Not to get like too personal or whatever, but my wife and I have been trying to have a kid, and things aren't working, and yeah, it's been really easy to like let that get me down. But as I was doing this exercise, I was also like really kind of content, excited with like the Christmas season coming up, learning something new today. So I kind of bounced back and forth between the two, but just came to like this state of contentment where it was like, I'm just going to kind of do what I can control, explore the options that are available to me, and still try to be present with like, the Christmas season and all that fun stuff kind of coming up. So that's kind of all over the map, but I don't know. Like I kind of just came to a state of contentment and just some quiet reassurance. So that was interesting.
Right, that's awesome, and something I think we'll talk about here in a minute. You actually proved me wrong, because I was going to bring up how oftentimes positive feelings such as contentment, we don't notice them, right? We notice the pain. Usually they feel, the sadness, the pain, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I do think that we oftentimes don't pay as much attention to things like contentment. So I'm glad to hear that. I will share my experience. Of course, I was not fully participating as you were, but as I was reading through it, I'm thinking that my feeling right now is pretty anxiety, right? Stress, because I have to give this thing I've been working on, and thinking about what the feeling or the color was or the texture. It's it was unpleasant for me, but I'm glad that we could all do that together. Does anyone have any more comments on that one before we move on?
I will just say I really enjoy an opportunity to have a mindful moment during the middle of my day. So I appreciated having the guided meditation, and I was feeling quite peaceful, which in this moment in time I'm appreciative of. We may have lost Craig again, I'm not sure.
I'm still here. I can hear you in and out. I
And
apologize for that.
the slides are a little fuzzy.
Okay, well, let's see if I don't know, if I stop my video, would it help, you think? I don't know.
Yeah, try turning your video off and see if that helps. Make sure that you don't have anything else on.
I don't have anything else open.
Okay, well, try turning your video off then.
Okay, I apologize, everybody here. 1 second. Are the slides a little better now? Iffy. Okay, I'm gonna try one more thing, moving closer to my router. All right. Still fuzzy?
It's better,
Okay,
better.
I apologize. So appreciate y'all participating in that. I'd like to talk about so we kind of just experienced what emotions feel like, right? What they can do. Some of us experience deep emotions. This level of awareness isn't necessarily practical on a daily basis. But there are things that just in our daily activities that can distract us more from experiencing any kind of emotion or sort of recognize any kind of emotion. The first one that I thought of being the lack of understanding. I think someone mentioned in the beginning. I guess it was TJ, right? Awesome. TJ, how do we do this if we haven't, if we don't know ourselves, kind of thing. So learning what emotions are, learning what you're doing right now is giving you some of this understanding, which will help you hopefully in the future. Another major one that a lot of us experience are distractions, and there is a long list of distractions, one of which we will dive into here in a moment. Was this your other slide, Freddie? I can't remember which one you had.
Not yet. I'm doing
Okay.
physical awareness.
You're
Keep
done
going.
later. Okay. Awesome. But we're good now and we can all see it, right? Perfect. Technology is the best. I'm gonna do a little breakout room here. I don't know if maybe make the assumption that everybody has a smartphone. I hope for the purpose of this activity that you do. We're going to go into a breakout room here, and I'd like you to access your device's screen time calculator. Now, this is different on like an iPhone or an Android. I can tell you, I guess who has an iPhone in the room? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 iPhones. So, and then looks like Lucy and Angela do not have an iPhone, right? Okay, so I can tell you the iPhone one, you go into settings and screen time. It's right there. If everyone can find that, we're gonna all go into this in your breakout rooms and talk about it. Lucy, are you familiar with how to access that can you tell us?
Yeah, so for Android, if you go to your main apps, if you just scroll up, you can find an app called Digital Wellbeing, or go to settings and click on screen time settings. I personally have it kind of looks like this. Angela, have you seen this screen before? Okay. Maybe not.
Can you find it there, Angela?
I'm looking.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna hopefully, well, maybe Lucy and Angela end up in the same room, but we're gonna talk about these questions here. Maybe if you need to take a screenshot or have them for a discussion, and we will spend, I can't remember how many minutes. Freddie's got it written down there. I think about 5 minutes talking about this. So we will go into some rooms and come back in about 5 minutes. Oh, I think I can. Okay. I'm gonna move Lucy into the same room as Angela just in case. All right, here we go.
I can only imagine why. Why is that for you?
Well, for me, because it's always way more than I think it is. Do you know how you get that, see all activity for what it is that you're spending the most time on? Okay, that figures. Distraction.
Yeah, see all web. Yeah.
Yeah. You see which
and-
apps.
Right. Which is your most used? Well, never mind. That's none of my business.
I don't mind telling you.
Well, I'll just be honest. Mine's Instagram.
There you go. Mine's Facebook.
Oh, sweet.
It's total numbing. We call it in my house, we call it dar time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. In my personal life, it has totally replaced like watching TV or, any of the other dar things I did where I just shut my brain down for a while. So,
Understandably so.
yeah.
It's funny because you could look at stats in any manner. Mine says my percentage is down 10% from last week.
Nice.
But then you look at those bars that show like you said, it groups into the categories, and sadly social probably made up about 60% of that. So
yeah. Yeah. So mine is definitely like that too. And I will say, I don't always like to totally get down on us for needing to check out and dissociate. Sometimes we are exhausted and need a mental break, right? So what is it that we I think the point is about being mindful about what it is. And there's something about social media and phones that can grab our attention and hook onto it for too long, right? At least for me. And I know that's true with so many of my students and kiddos. I had later in life diagnosis of ADHD inattentive type. And I've been really learning about how this can be something that really needs to be carefully managed, right? For me and for other students who might have neurodiversity. Yeah.
well, you're definitely not alone there. I was actually in college when I got diagnosed with the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I could understand totally that need to just kind of stop, switch things up a little bit, and the good thing about social media, right, is there is kind of that, I don't want to use stigma, but right, like we're all aware of, hey, I shouldn't be on here for too long. What I like about it is, you can waste your time, you could get political, whatever on it, but it's a great way to also connect too, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. I connect with people I love, but I follow a lot of like mental health pages, and I get information and I read articles. So for me, it goes deeper than just always wasting time too. There's something more about it. So if you were to look at my streaming, it's all about like restoring furniture and mental health and
Yeah.
things with kids and ADHD, and there's a lot to it. I will say it's almost like the scrolling mimics the way my brain works though. It's and I don't know if that's good for me or bad for me that I'm playing into that even more with social media, that I'm scrolling and flipping so rapidly. I'm a rapid processor, right? So I think to counterbalance it, I probably should be doing more mindfulness in some way, but I'll tell you, I've always found it excruciating, and I didn't know why until I got this diagnosis, and it helped explain a lot for me. I always thought I was just bad at it or failing at it in some way, that there was something wrong with me somehow, right?
So maybe just shorter amounts of time. So not trying to put so much pressure to have longer meditation. Just have it be a short amount of time.
Cool. Okay.
Because I think it really can help to refocus. I mean, we know all of the research on about how meditation can help us focus, but I understand what you're saying about it. It can be excruciating if that's really tough for you. So maybe just, taking those moments to breathe and focus on your breath and just take a minute rather than 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes.
Yeah. That makes sense. Thank you.
And our phones can be really helpful for that sort of thing as well, with all of the apps that are available and timing and being able to check on those things. I use a lot of my health apps for that sort of thing.
Cool.
And I think that that's something we could all kind of advocate for together. I know at my job, you know, it's Division 1, really small, right? I wear a lot of hats, which I'm sure you do as well. And I have found the days where I do take a minute, I do eat, I do breathe, right? You know, sue me, but I'll take a power nap and I'm so much more productive. And when I do take that reset. So
I'm so proud of you. I have a couch that I do the same thing right there.
Awesome.
All right. Did we get there, Angela?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I hope you all had at least a few minutes to talk about that. Who'd like to share what you did and what you talked about?
I'll just share real quick. I use social media a lot of times as a distraction from my work. So I'm not thinking about work. To kind of be mind numb. To scroll, like, you know, just to be mind numb and not be thinking about what's gone on at school that day.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that. I most certainly do that as well. That think that interferes in any way with your emotional awareness.
I do, and I don't think it's good for my daughter. I need to be doing more with her than just being mind numb and scrolling, and teaching her that to not do that the same.
Sure, teach by example. I did hear in the other room, TJ and Carrie talking about maybe some positive aspects. I didn't catch the whole conversation. TJ, do you want to share what you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, at first we all had a tendency to get on and look at it and see that a lot of that time was attributed to social media devices, you know, and not something more productive. But then we got talking about, well, what is on our social media devices? And, you know, Carrie's great at following a lot of pages that are, you know, for mental health, or, you know, their hands-on kind of hobbies that she could use for self-care and kind of making a reset during her very, you know, emotionally intense workday. And so it's kind of, you know, we're talking about awareness, right? It's okay to get caught in that dopamine trap of the scrolling. And, you know, it's okay to like say, hey, I need a minute. Your attention kind of jumps in and out. But are there tools on our phones that can benefit, you know, that the students we're working with, our family members, you know, our self-care, give us some ideas to do that? Absolutely. So I feel that as we can learn to balance that awareness of, am I on my phone? Sure. Am I making time for like kind of mindfulness, learning where my emotions are based on how I feel after social media? I think we could all find a good balance there, but I don't know, that's kind of what we talked about.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's a lot of people are talking about the negative effects of a phone and social media, but there are positives as well. And there are some resources actually at the end of this presentation. If you want to utilize that or start to utilize more, there will be some of my suggestions, some things that I use personally to help on my phone. Does anybody else have any comments before we move on?
Yeah, I
Yeah, please.
can talk really quick. I am pretty bad about doom scrolling, like just getting on my phone and just letting my thumb scroll without really like even processing the information that's coming in. And something that I did to kind of help me with that is to set time limits on the apps that I can use. So especially for Instagram, I can only spend an hour max on it, because if not, then I will spend 8 hours on it, just not processing the content I'm consuming. And so app timers, I think, have been a really helpful tool for for me to use to help me consume content more mindfully on social media apps.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. Let me get back here to where I can share my screen. So those are some things for you to think about as far as one particular distraction, which is the cell phone and all of the fun that that brings. We're going to kind of move to a adjacent discussion about awareness of our physical self. And I'm going to let Dr. Giesler take over here for a few minutes.
So I'll just throw that out there. What does that mean to be physically aware, to be aware of your physical self? What does that mean? Let's take a moment.
I think for me, I have to really, when I'm having low days like I've had this last little while, I have to really notice that and shove that over, compartmentalize and put that on the shelf so I can be present with kids, especially when they're having a hard day. So I need to be be physically aware of how I am in my space so that I can be there for them, because if I'm not, I know I'm not approachable, or I know that they can feel that. And so I have to really make, change that for myself so that I can be there for the kids.
I think often we'll have physical sensations preceding some of our emotional feelings, emotional awareness, and that can be can give us some good information about what's going on, and can be a little bit of a light bulb or indicator of how things are going when you have those physical sensations. One thing I wanted to, that we talked briefly about, I think earlier, is also recognizing when you're having positive feelings, not just negative feelings of pain or tension or stress, but also how you're feeling when you're feeling good. What are you noticing about your body in those moments as well? I think there's a lot of attention to physical well-being as in our media, in our society, in our expectations of what is valued, and sometimes that can give us some painful messages. So just sort of having a little bit more awareness of our physical being, noticing how we're feeling about our own bodies and how we attune to our bodies, what are the messages that our bodies are giving us, and not to dismiss those so easily, but actually spending some time paying attention to that. I think the other thing to be aware of is any comparisons that we make of ourselves to others, either to people that we know or to what we see in the media or what we perceive as the expectations about our physical beings. We're all very different, and there's a great deal of value in appreciating the physical beings that we have. They're all so unique and say a lot about who we are and our own self-awareness and identity. So just paying attention to that, and just taking a moment to sort of notice that physical, the body sensations. Any thoughts about your thoughts about the benefits of that kind of physical awareness?
For me, I've found that it's really important to try to cultivate physical awareness so that I can better attend to my needs. I can get so focused, so hyper focused on other people and their needs that I forget to take care of myself. So I'll go all day long without eating or going to the bathroom without taking a deep breath. And it takes a huge toll on me by the end of the day. So if I have paid more attention to my body, I tend to be much more balanced through the day, and I'm not so exhausted by the time I walk out of this building.
Excellent. Thank you, Carrie. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think going right along with that, I think I know this from possibly from 12-step programs is where I've heard it, but there is an acronym HALT, HALT, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, right? Which can be a sort of a precursor to a lot of different things. And so, like you said, if you go all day without eating, it's gonna affect you, right? So I always remember if I'm feeling this way, am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? And a lot of times the answer is yes. The physical self is so intertwined with our emotions. It's a lot of times something as simple as eating that can help us out.
Excellent. Anyone else?
The only thing I would add to that is water. I'm horrible at that, and I'll be really good. It'll be like my New Year's resolution, and then and then you think, oh, it's a really long ways to get to the bathroom, and so it's like if I get caught up with something, but sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm dehydrated. That's why I'm not, so I would add to that HALT but put water on there.
Absolutely. That's a really important one. And we all know how important that is, but sometimes we don't leave some space in our day to take care of that. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Craig.
Thank you for that. Do you think we have time for the video, or should I? Got about 20 minutes.
We might want to move. We might have to skip that.
Okay. There is a great video here, and I'm sure you'll have access to this presentation that talks about a little more about that connection between our mind and our body. Very cool, from the NIH. For now, we will skip that. And similar to emotional awareness, there are things that can be difficulties with our physical awareness, right? Can you take activity too far, physical activity? Can diet and exercise be unhealthy? And something that I was thinking about when I was putting this together was, I feel that most often, the physical stuff is the things that people take to the extreme. Whereas with emotional, you don't really have that where you can do it too much. And I could be wrong, but from when I was pondering about it, diet and exercise can definitely be unhealthy, right? Depending on the circumstances. So it's not a one size fits all thing, but being aware, just the awareness of the body, and you know yourself and better than probably anybody else. And if you haven't noticed by now, I've put in so many funny memes, but I haven't got any smirks. I know Lucy at least noticed the memes, right? Okay, cool. I'm just kidding, but I wanted to lighten it up a little bit. Should we take a break?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something about the emotional awareness. I think we can actually be on the extremes of people not attending to their emotions, and then people that really are having a hard time regulating their emotions, and they're sort of at this constant high point, which also is not so healthy. So and not having a good recognition about when that's completely out of control. So I think on all of these levels and that's sort of the whole point of awareness is to be able to regulate in a balanced and healthy way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely extremes. I sort of pictured that on a continuum of I'm exercising too much to the point where it's healthy, whereas being too emotionally aware, I suppose it could be unhealthy as well, or not enough for sure. I want to give you guys just going along with the health aspect of this. I'm going to do a short break, just 60 seconds, where we can, stand up if you need to, and then we'll come right back. Alrighty, let's come on back. Next, I want to talk briefly about some techniques that you can use at any time to help ground you. Talk about grounding. I shared this with Dr. Geisler the other day, but I met a person once who had some sort of device that he put on his body and plugged into the wall when he slept because it helped ground him somehow. I don't understand it all, but literally connect his body to the ground in the outlet, which connected him to the ground outside. So when we talk about grounding, it's not necessarily that in this instance, but it's connecting ourselves, connecting our mind with our body again. And a lot of times in our daily lives, that's not happening. So how do we do this? There's a whole bunch of techniques you're welcome to look up. I'm going to give you 3 examples though today that can be done on your own. They can be done quickly, relatively, they don't take that much time, and they can be very effective in connecting the mind back to your body. One of them we practiced a little bit already, but it's called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. And this is simply, I'm sitting at my desk, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling all of these things, so I'm going to just pause for a minute, look around the room. What are 5 things I can see? I could see a light switch, a desk, a coffee mug, etc., etc. Okay, I saw those 5 things. I'm not judging them, I'm not attaching any morality, I just saw them. And so on and so forth. What 4 things I could feel, hear, smell, and taste. I find this to be probably one of the easiest ones to do in any situation. I mean, if you can do it even when you're safely while you're driving, possibly could even do that. Breath work is really common way to accomplish the same thing. There's a multiple myriad of different ways to do this, but the breath, your breathing is always happening 24/7. It's something you don't have to think about, but because it's always there and you start to put your attention on it, this is another way to ground you, connect you back to yourself. There's one example right here of how you could do that, but like I said, there's a whole bunch and they all do the same thing. And then a third one, I think somebody talked, I think it was Angela mentioned meditation before. there's a whole bunch of different ways that this can be done. And I've given you some resources at the end of the presentation to, if you would like to further like sort of explore that grounding technique or other ones. But a body scan, which we started to we did a little bit of in that guided meditation, thinking about the body, etc. So that is grounding techniques. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. For the last part of this, I wanted to share a little story just really quickly. I have a friend who, on his own, for who knows what reason, came up to me one day. He's a teacher in Rigby, and came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm really excited because part of my, I think it's called is it IPLP? Is that a thing? That's a thing. Okay, I'm getting nods. And I had never heard of that, but as part of his IPLP planning, he said, I'm going to take the first 10 minutes out of my planning period every single day, or whenever he has it, to practice awareness. And I'm in the midst of planning this presentation, so I was, of course, very interested to sort of keep track of him and how it's going. So it's been half of the year now, and I recently asked him, how's your 10 minutes going? Because that's a lot of time to take out of your planning period to do something that's not really planning, right? This is his quote of how he says it's going. So even just taking 10 minutes a day to slow down, center myself, has been a lifesaver. It has helped me to stay calm and focused, and I've been able to accomplish more because I'm not running around like a chicken with its head cut off, as he says. So this can be a little bit counterintuitive, I suppose, but the 10 minutes that he has taken out of his planning period has apparently accelerated and optimized the rest of his time. So part of your homework for this course, the homework says, reflect on the strategies you use to understand and regulate your emotions. So to help kind of prepare you for that, we're going to do a little bit of brainstorming on a plan. And my friend's plan is one example. Doesn't have to be that, could look different, but some sort of plan that you can use to apply the things that you learned today. So I'm going to put you back into some breakout rooms for, well, not quite 10 minutes, but enough time for you to discuss these questions. So again, if you need to take a screenshot or save them somehow, now is your chance. And then we'll come back for the last few minutes, talk about it. Any questions before we go? All right.
Sweet. Okay. Perfect. What goal do you want to achieve? What methods interest you? Social awareness, physical awareness, grounding techniques, or other? How much time can you dedicate to this plan? What challenges may arise? How will you keep yourself accountable? So I don't know what has stood out to you so far, Carrie?
I think a goal that I would like to achieve would be to find a way to be less exhausted by the end of my workday. I feel completely depleted, so I need to start looking into that a little bit more, what that means and why.
No, absolutely. And I wonder if that is solely emotionally aware, physically aware, and what might be cool is you might get to pick like one of each and try that. Like I don't know, maybe your bell rings at like 4 o'clock or something like that. And I don't know, maybe the administration would back you up. You just spend half an hour before you go home or something, like practicing one of those and then just seeing which one rejuvenates you.
It's a great idea.
I don't know. I know if my inattentive ADD, like I find when I'm around like 11:30 a.m. to about 1:20 is when I'm needing to do something, like some sort of gear up. Which, that I guess that's physically aware, but maybe that's when I could implement something too around that time. Just thinking out loud, like, treat it like a smorgasbord and try them all. I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I definitely need to change something because at the end of my day, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but I can't do it every day. I call it cocooning, and I go from school and go home, and for half an hour to 45 minutes to an hour, just go in my room into a quiet place where I'm not surrounded by 700 people who need something from me, right? And just try to take a minute, take a breath. But I've got 3 kids and they often need me right during that time as well. So if I can find a way to do more of this during the day, the work day, the school day, and go home and have a little more energy for them right after school when they need me, might be better. But the reality is they're just, I think I'm talking about the challenges. The challenges are carving out enough time and space to be able to do something like this and not feeling guilty about it, right? Not apologizing, not feeling guilty, but actually being pretty dedicated to it and protective of it.
I totally agree. And another challenge as well is I don't know if it's like this for you at your school, but I am a when it rains it pours kind of a guy. And everyone expects me to kind of drop everything, right? I could be working on icy stuff, or I could be trying to sit down and do log entries into PowerSchool, right? To prevent, show that we've been doing our job. And somebody will walk right on in and just start talking because that's the expectation of the counselor, right? So I agree with you, because we could sit here all day and say, oh, I'm going to spend half an hour here or there, but depending on kind of how you're viewed and what the expectation of you is, like you might have a day where you've got to adjust. And I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
I think scheduling those things in can be really helpful, and sometimes it would be great to have 45 minutes or an hour, but that may or may not be realistic. So seeing what happens if you take 10 minutes to kind of do a regroup, whether that's a grounding exercise or taking a walk or reading something or whatever it is that recharges you, just taking a few minutes to do that, making sure that you're eating and that you're drinking and that those things are that your physical needs are priorities. I mean, as you mentioned, it's pretty easy for that to just be forgotten. I have a friend who teases me about being overly attuned to self-care. But I made a choice a long time ago that I wanted to stay in social work till I retired. And the only way that was going to happen and not burn out was to really take care of myself. So I do make those priorities.
I have been learning to set alarms on my phone. So I have one currently for 11:30 every day to remind me to stop what I'm doing and go eat lunch. It's working.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great. That's perfect. Yeah, that's a great way that we can use our phones. I mean, and I use my watch when I haven't been moving within the hour to get up and stretch and take that little walk.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Those
Your
little
school's
time.
Oh, sorry.
I just say it's amazing what just that little bit of time will do the difference. That little bit of time will make.
You sound like a rock star, Carrie. I mean, that's cool. So lucky to have you. You sound like you just put all your effort, all your heart into it. So
Thank you. You too, actually. I'm impressed with you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to come back for the last few minutes here. I heard some really awesome things coming out of both of those rooms. Quickly before we end, does anybody want to share what they talked about?
One thing I'd like to note is that something that just sort of came up as we were closing out the room is the connections that you're making here. And I know most people are from a different school district, but I think we're making some connections here. So, you know, maybe it's okay to reach out to each other for a little support from time to time if needed. I think you're all recognizing the gifts that you bring to your school and to your work, and that you can find ways to support each other. I think sometimes, especially if you're in that counselor role where there aren't any other counselors in the building, where you can feel a little isolated. So reach out to one another. Feel free to reach out to us. We want to be able to support you. And sometimes it's all just like, I'm having a bad day. I just need to vent a little. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I second that. And I really appreciate you all being here and learning about these things. Hopefully they can help you and your students. And I know some of you were talking about your family members who you're thinking of too. Quickly before I go, I told you I would show you the references. And you'll have access to this later, but there's some applications, some phone apps here that I personally use. There's, I'm sure, many more. Insight Timer is probably my favorite. Different sort of guided meditations or, utilities you can use if you need to take a little time for yourself. And I heard a lot of you talking about the need to take some time for yourself. So that is it for me. I appreciate it again, all the patience too with the video issues.
And I just want to say that in the chat, there's a link to a Google form that Lucy posted in there that we would really like your feedback. So it should be anonymous. We just want to make sure that we're providing a service that is useful to all of you. Thank you very much.
All right. Is that it for us then?
Yeah. So
Hope you all-
and the homework's listed, I think, also on the it's listed on the an initial flyer, but we can post that with the
Awesome.
email. I send out with the video. So
All right. Well, thank you again, and hopefully this helped you. Hope you all have a great day.
we'll see you in a couple of
Thank
weeks,
you.
hopefully.
Great.
Mhm.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye. So TJ, you said you had a question about the homework.
Yeah, I just had a kind of a busy week last week. Spaced the assignment from the first week. Is there like a particular due date?
They're just due by the end of the
By the
time.
end?
Yeah, so you can whatever the timing works out for you in terms of submitting that. And it
Sounds
can be as simple as an email. That's fine too.
And that should be last session's homework. That was mentioned at the end of those slides, right? So I
It
could go
was.
back and watch those. Okay,
Yeah, should be in there.
perfect.
I
Yep,
can-
I'll just
I
get
can
that.
I can reiterate that next when I send out the link for next time in the video connection. So
Sure.
I'll reiterate those.
Well, you guys are awesome. This is so helpful and really appreciate what you're doing. So
Thanks. I'm glad you were able to
Thanks,
come.
TJ.
good job today,
Great.
Craig.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. We'll see you soon. Have a good one.
So I'll talk to you at 4. about this?
Yeah, we
Need
can,
to debrief now.
we can do that, or we have a little bit of time. I mean, it's just 1:30, so if you wanna do a quick debrief right now, that's fine.
Well, I don't know if we need to really. I thank you
I
for your
thought it was
help.
great. I thought it was great. No,
Okay.
I mean, and there's just a lot of, and we had good input from them. And I don't know what happened to Scott, if something came up, because Scott Corgatelli
Oh,
was,
it's another.
and
Okay.
then he was gone. And I think last time he ended up having to leave early, but, so,
Gotcha.
I mean, they're
I
paying
just-
for it, so.
Yeah. Well, I think, makes it more stressful, but glad we got them.
No, you did it. You did a great job. It was really good. Yeah. I mean,
I think that,
technical
usually when I'm in the moment and people are talking and it's stressful, like I have a really hard time like listening to them and then responding. So to me, it's all their words kind of just go through my head, and that's where I struggle. But I think I salvaged it all right, so I appreciate it.
No, you did fine. So that's just, I guess some awareness for you in terms of
Yeah.
how can you relax in the moment so that you can hear those comments and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just be able to let go of some of that performance anxiety, or at least lessen it a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Okay. But no, I think I need a little break here before our meeting. So
I think that's fine. All right.
great.
All
Well,
right.
thank you.
You bet.
See you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.